Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Do you suffer from burnout? Like, has it happened to you a couple of times in your life? Or do you feel like you've got the symptoms of burnout? Or do you know somebody who's going through it and want to support them? If you answered yes to any of these three questions, listen to this video because we're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about the things that cause burnout, but we're also going to talk about the solutions. What can we do to kind of avoid burnout and avoid it happening to us over and over in our lives? Because trust me, it's happened to me a number of times. So here, let's start from the beginning. What is it? So I would say that burnout is a state of complete mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. So it's like you're done. There's no other way to put it. You're just done. And what are the symptoms? The symptoms could be anything from like you're easily overwhelmed by things, like anything will just tip you off. Your physical symptoms that are kind of, you don't know where they're coming from, but it's like your body's trying to tell you something, like migraines, upset stomach, bowel issues, all these little kind of warning signs that your body is telling you that it's something's off, right? So yeah, when I went through burnout, I just was exhausted all the time, and I was just like I couldn't deal with anything. I was tired. All I wanted to do with was kind of just sleep and just not have to deal with anything. And at that point, like I think the television became my best friend. So I just wanted to zone out and not have to think about anything. And it did work at the beginning because it helped me just to kind of think outside of myself, because I was just so wholly focused on how I was feeling. It was overwhelming. And so it's no fun. It's no fun to go through it. So if you're going through it now, I totally sympathize. It hard to go through that. And if you've had a couple of these kind of burnouts in your life, yeah, it starts to accumulate, and long-term chronic things can take their toll on us, physically and emotionally and mentally. So let's talk about the causes of burnout. I think that, I mean, I have my own interpretation, but here's what like the general consensus of burnout means. It means that basically you're doing one of all these things. Okay, you're either working too much, and you're putting all your time and attention to work, and maybe you're not getting what you want out of work, and it's causing frustration. So there's layer upon layer there of stress and worry. It's like your nervous system is like compounding and compounding and compounding these stressors, right? Another thing, and like there's one of the things that I noticed, even though I did have support, but I think that for me it was specifically I wasn't supporting myself, because I had a therapist, I had support. So when we feel like we're just doing everything on our own and we're not getting help from anyone, that is hard, because we're putting like a huge pressure and load on our shoulders, right? It's just like I have to do this all by myself, like I have no help. Like I know that there's a lot of, like, in marriages, a lot of the time one spouse feels that way, and it's hard when you feel like you don't get support inside your relationship. So that could be a factor, or like you don't get support from your family. That puts a big stressor on us, right? So we feel like that, on top of everything else I have to do XYZ because I am not getting any support. So there's also a mindset thing there, which is really, really important. But yeah, that is a big one. And also, and this ties into everything in general. Excuse me, when we feel out of alignment with ourselves. Okay, and that I think is one of the most important things. When we feel like what we're doing is not aligned with our best purpose, or aligned with our happiness, or aligned with what's best for us, that is a big one. So we have to think about those things, because if we're not doing things to make us happy, it's like a therapist told me, that was again my shoe. I'm not farting. Not the time and place for that. Oh God, how to derail your video. Anyway, when we're not in alignment with ourselves, that really, really does cause a lot of stress and pressure on us, which will lead to burnout. So, so what can we do to avoid burnout? There's a couple of things. So, just in our day to day lives, here's a couple of suggestions. The first thing is to be mindful of our day and mindful of how our day is going, and just be constant and do like constant check-ins throughout the day, like, okay, how am I feeling at the situation? How am I feeling after that meeting? How did I react when my son or my child just freaked out? How did that conversation with my husband or my wife or whoever make me feel? And it like if it made me feel something, I need to process what I'm feeling, because if I don't process it, it's gonna damage cause damage down the line, right? Because, and I talked about this in another video. It's like, if you the more you push stuff down, the worse it gets, right? So taking little breaks in your day just to tune into yourself and just say, okay, how am I feeling? How am I doing? Because that is like an aspect of self care, right? Because if I know that if I don't take the time to deal with this that just happened, it's gonna come out in other ways later. Either I'm going to eat out of stress, which is not good for me. I'm talking about myself in this particular example, or I'm gonna react and I'm gonna say something I don't mean, or be too harsh when I'm talking to my husband later, or XYZ, and it ends up sometimes we end up self sabotaging, right? So we don't want to do that. So take little breaks in the day to tune in. Obvious one is remove some of the stressors in your life. So if something is causing you too much stress, I know sometimes it's really easy to say, well, get rid of all your stressors. Like, take steps to make conscious decisions to remove stress in your life. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So like, if just to give you an example, if you're driving your kids home from school and you're getting calls from work, maybe put the phone on mute, so that you're not distracted by the phone's ringing and I have to answer. My boss wants to talk to me, wants to ask me something. My kid's in the back yelling or talking or telling me about his day, and I want to focus on that. So maybe like try to avoid extra stressors as much as possible within reason in your life. Okay, so that sometimes it's a simple decision, other times it's not, and then but that's one of the next things I want to talk about, is taking steps for your mental health. Like, what are you going to do to protect your mental health? Well, maybe reducing stressors, and if people get pissed off, who cares? Right? Like, you have to do what's best for you. So we'll talk about that more about that in a second. Another thing is to be mindful about transitioning between your day. Kind of goes back to the first point I was making with the solutions thing, is like, okay, so now I'm working and now I'm done work. I'm going to disconnect from work and I'm going to wind down. I'm going to have a cup of tea, a glass of wine if you need one. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, but just make sure you make those mental disconnects from the stressors in your life throughout your day, so that your body and your mind can go, okay, I'm done with that now. I can move on to this other thing with peace and feeling in control of my day, right? Because, and that's the other thing I'm going to talk about in a minute, but is letting go of the stuff we can't control and focusing on the stuff we can control. Okay, so taking those mental steps to transition between the parts of your day, right? That's going to help your mind and brain say, okay, well, now I'm focusing on this. It's okay. And then, and just mentally say, okay, I'm going to put that aside now because I can't think about that. There's nothing I can do about that right now. Right. Yeah, let go of things you can't control and focus on the things that you can. That is, I would say, one of the most important things, because we tend to, and I can't speak for everybody, and I can't speak for all women, but we tend to take on the responsibility of the world on our shoulders, and we shouldn't have to do that. But we do. Either we're single moms or XYZ. There's different situations, right? Um, so if your kids come home and they wreak havoc on the house, but they're happy and you're able to make dinner, um, you know, let them make a mess. Make your dinner. You guys can have dinner together, and then you can all clean it up together. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, folks, but I'm just saying that you can't scream at them for making a mess while you're trying to cook dinner, while you're trying to do this. So like it's about removing extra stressors or dealing with the stressors one step at a time, right? One thing at a time. So and then the last thing I'll say is, like how we want to spend time focusing on things that instead of causing us stress, they bring us happiness, they bring us peace, they bring us joy. So if that means for you going for a walk, or going for a walk with your dog, if that brings you peace and joy, then definitely do that in the middle of the day or whenever it's convenient for you, so that you can have a moment in your day where you just reconnect and just say, oh, this is nice. I feel this. This feels good. Because if you don't take the time to do this, you go from stress to 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 sleep. That's hard on the body, and it's hard on the mind, and it's hard on everything, right? So yeah, I would say, like, find time, fight for that time, be selfish about that time, where you say, this is me, this is for me. I'm going to take this, I'm going to paint, because painting brings me solace, it brings me joy, it helps me, it's therapeutic. I had a lovely conversation with my friend the other day about gardening, and she was telling me how therapeutic gardening was and how it made her feel good. And so like, if you love to garden, do that, but um, make sure, insist, and be selfish about putting things in your schedule that bring you joy and love and happiness and peace. Because if you don't, like, trust me from personal experience, you're gonna break, and we don't want that. We want to put ourselves in a position where we are feeling happy and balanced, and or happier, happier, more well balanced, so that we don't burn out. So those are a couple of things that I wanted to share with you today. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is this idea that this is what I tell some of my clients when I see them in my Reiki practice, right? So I'll say, we are like an energy tank, like a tank of gas, all right? So we spend a lot of time, whether as adults, as parents, as human beings, we give our time and energy and attention and love to so many areas of our life. So those are like pressing the gas pedal, and a little bit of that gas leaks there, a little bit of the gas goes there, gas goes to the relationship, gas goes to the kids, not literal gas. But imagine yourself a gas tank, and you're giving energy, you're giving energy to all these people and all these situations. But what about the energy that you give back to you? Because if you keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, guess what happens? You're going to burn out. Your gas tank's going to be empty, and you're not going to have enough energy for anything or anyone at that point. And then there's chaos, right? So I'm not just saying this to women. I know, because I'm a woman, and I've learned from experience. This happens to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you give your time and energy to people and situations all the time without giving to yourself, you're gonna have a burnout. And it'll keep happening in your life until you say, okay, well, now it's time to give myself back. Like, how are you going to go and refill that gas tank? No, you're not going to go to the actual gas, and you're going to go to, for me, it would be going to the art gallery and just staring at a Van Gogh painting for an hour. I love that. Going into the gift shop, buying myself a little trinket or something, that I can look at during my day and just love it, right? And that makes me feel good. This morning I posted a wee video about just going outside and letting the sun kiss my skin, right? That made me feel good. So like, what are you doing in your life to make you feel good? Basically, is what I'm asking. Because if you're filling your life with things that make you feel good, and to balance off those other stressors like work and um, stressful situations at wherever XYZ, we have problems. Everyone has problems in their life about something one way or another. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm gonna end there and just say you can avoid burnout by doing all of the things that I mentioned. You don't want to go there, and if you feel that you are, take a step back and reassess. What am I doing in my life? Where's my energy going? And then just say, okay, well, I'm going to take my energy back, and I'm going to give back to myself because I need that. My body needs that. My soul needs that. My mind needs that. And that's it. I'm going to wind down now and say thank you very much, so much for listening and for all your support to all my followers. And I love you all. And I'm wishing you a happy, healthy day, and continue on your healing journey as a human on this earth, because it's not easy sometimes. And I feel you, and I hear that. And have a wonderful day. This is the Mood Lady signing out. Bye.